Welcome back, everyone. We will now proceed to another round of individual paper presentations for day 2, where researchers present their latest findings and innovative approaches. Let's begin with our third paper presentation for this summit and first one for day 2, the transformation of communication methods in teaching and learning within Malaysian tertiary education from formal to informal platforms by Ms. Maizurah. Maizurah Khathu Abdul Hamid is a senior lecturer with the University of Hertfordshire program at INTI International College Subang, Malaysia. With nearly 2 decades of experience in academia and a strong foundation in communications industry, she specializes in public relations, mass communication, cultural studies, and organizational communication. Throughout her academic career, she has been actively involved in curriculum development, academic collaborations, and industry link projects that bridge education with professional practice. She is currently exploring research in the intersections of public relations, education, and teaching innovation with a focus on industry and applied learning in a communication study. So please let's welcome Ms. Maizurah. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Chandana. Let me just share my slide. Is the slide visible, Chandana?
Yes, you can see the slide.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sanjana, for the kind intro. I'm pleased to share my presentation topic today, the transformation of communication method from formal to informal platform. My name is Maizurah Abdul Hamid. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a senior lecturer from a Center of University of Hertfordshire in the International College Subang. As what Sanjana has introduced me, I've been about 15, 16 years in the teaching industry, in the academic industry. And before that, I have several years experience in mass comm industry. Over time, I have developed a passion in this academic world, exploring the best practice in teaching and learning. But I would say that I am an early researcher in this academic world. And my practice or my research practice involve today media landscape. When I start into academic world, my interest was into the mass communication industry itself, crisis communication, public relations, and so on. But as time goes on now, currently, I started to have interest into preparing my mass communication students into the challenging real world industry, I would say today. All right. Now, the adoption of non-formal communication platforms such as WhatsApp and Telegram signified a growing shift toward faster and more personal interaction within academic setting. Now, through my teaching journey, I've witnessed the changes in communication method within the education. All right, when I started teaching, we still using this traditional method of communicating with students, whereby we have this notice board in front of the lecturer's room or main notice board to inform or to communicate with students. And then we started to use SMS as a form of communication, right? And usually this SMS goes to the class representative. And then, yes, and we move into emails, right? Emails to everyone. And then we start to have this LMS, the learning management system, that we found out this is a very good way to communicate with students. And currently, I've been realizing students have been embracing, or even academics, have been embracing the informal communication method or WhatsApp in their communication. So this shift, sparked my curiosity and interest to lead me to explore more about how communication practice in higher education have evolved, from formal, and we are going into a informal communication. All right, effective communication, both formal and informal, play a crucial role in shaping a positive environment, enhancing teachers' job, academic job, satisfying, improving student performance, supporting the success of implementation of educational programs. So in contemporary academic context, communication today are going beyond the traditional channel, all right? Such as official emails and announcement. And we are moving towards a concept whereby we go with immediate. Everything need to be immediate. Everything need to be fast. Yeah. And interactive personalized exchange between an academic and students. And I realize, yeah, these changes does not only happens in higher education, but it also starting to evolve in the secondary school as well, whereby non-formal communication start to be a trend, yeah. And basically, they like to look into the connection and collaboration between the learning communities. All right, and the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way educators and students communicate forever. The worldwide um, COVID-19 pandemic has changed it somehow. COVID-19 is always be a reason for everything, I suppose. And we look into the universal reference point and how it shapes and transforms everything that we practice today. All right, that brings me into the objectives of my small research is to examine the types and frequency of communication platform used by students in academic setting, to analyze students' perceptions of informal communication platform in terms of efficient, clarity, accuracy, and professionals, to find out the reason behind students' preference of using informal and formal communication platform in academic communication. All right, and my research concern, or I would say the issues that I would see in my research before we started to do this small research is communication in academic has shifted significantly from formal to informal, right? And as I mentioned that earlier in Malaysia context, yeah, we have even started it as early as in kindergarten, right? In primary school, in secondary school. Yeah, we academic communication does not focus on formal anymore. We are moving towards this non-formal education. It's just that if in primary and kindergarten, basically the communications will be with the parents, whereby in secondary school and in university, lecturer, teachers, or even schools communicate directly with the students or the parents via the informal communication. And these tools are widely used to their convenience, speed, and accessibility, right? The tools, when we talk about the tools, definitely reason of using informal is because of the convenience. All right, everybody have their handphones in their hands, the speed and the accessibility. And many institutions lack a clear guideline on the appropriate use of this informal platform, and leading to potential misunderstanding. So throughout our literature review, throughout our reading, we realized that there is lack of clear guidelines on how would be the best way for the academics to use if we have to use the informal platform, right? And of course, the potential misunderstanding, right? Because when you speak informal tone is totally different from a informal tone. All right, and a blur communication understanding. All right, and then of course our concern is into the data privacy, right? Is it your private number, or is it your personal number that when you put in a group that you share your personal number with students, with outsiders, and so on. All right, and the increasing reliance on informal platform raises questions about professionalism, clarity, and data privacy in academic communication. So the growing dependence raises critical questions about mainly on professionals to ensure message clarity and to safeguarding information. So what information can you share? What information that you cannot share, even though it is a informal platform. All right. Okay, in the past, university relied mainly for formal communication system. This is what I mentioned just now, such as official email, university portals, or face-to-face meetings. And this method ensure professionalism and record keeping. But again, they were also slow. They were less personal and sometimes inefficient for day-to-day communication. And that brings into students and lecturers begin using WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Chat, and even Instagram stories to share updates and reminders. Yeah. And basically, let me just define, what we can say on formal and informal communication, right? It's a very cut off definition. Formal communication follow official channels, emails, announcement, memo, LMS notices. It's structured, professional, and documented, whereby informal communication, WhatsApp, Telegram, example, they are fast, friendly, and more personal. So I think this is a very cut off definition of what is formal and informal communication, so that throughout you will understand, what do we define with formal and informal communication. All right, now that brings me into why informal communication. All right, and from our research, our literature review, our reading, and previous research, it says that the reasoning for informal communication is because of speed and accessibility. This is what we've been reminding from just now, and message reach instantly. All right, both lecturer, student, we start to respond quickly. All right, we access to the platform across devices. We can do blended within phone, tablet, laptop, right? And this communication seems to go seamless, all right? And it is convenient, right? Everyone is already on mobile device most of the time. Um, everyone are using smartphone. Everyone uses messaging app daily, and it's becoming something in our life. My kids, my children have been using non-stop of this smartphone. It's part of their needs on every day. So that makes them feel it's more convenient to communicate with this when you have the gadget with you, yeah? And engagement, right? Emojis, image, and quick response make communication more human, right? And and pandemic impact, this is what I mentioned just now. All right, online learning forced everyone to find flexible way to connect. During pandemic, we are left without a choice, right? But to start using all different types of communication for our teaching and learning, yeah? Right. Okay, so let's go into the following methodologies employed in these studies. This is a quantitative studies whereby we focus on students' preference. Why? Because we would like to see the trend of the students, right? And the purpose, exploratory research. Um, Now, because this research is just an initial stage research, whereby we only would like to see the early pattern. Okay, we would like to identify what are the potential issues, and we would like to look into what are the emerging tools that we used, yeah? And students selected based on availability and willingness, been authorized by the University of Hertfordshire Ethics Committee with delegate authorities in field of social science. A total of 110 participants with data collection of online survey. All right, and the sample size is small, but it's sufficient for a descriptive analysis of an exploratory purpose. All right. Of course, this result will bring us into, or will guide us into the next stage of a research on more quantified qualitative research, whereby we would like to focus more on academician perspective, to look into academic perspective as a informant, and basically, when you have this academic perspective, it could be a valid research, and you could triangulate on both sides. All right, now let's me go into the findings. All right, now this study used as I mentioned just now, the participants selected based on accessibility and the willingness to participate. All right, and as I mentioned just now, this is a pre-research. It's only a pre-research, and we are planning to go into a bigger research later, right? Now, while the data set includes a range of responses, details on statistic, what I'm going to focus is today is only on the key pattern and the trend in the highlighting. So I will start with this frequency. If you could see frequency, when we come into frequently used, basically WhatsApp and email is the best online tools that they prefer, but we still have online collaboration tools. Online collaboration tools is like LMS, Google Meet, and Zoom. All right, and one thing, yeah, we see that some students still feel, all right, the importance of having face-to-face communication as well, right, as a platform in the academic purposes. All right. Next, the second question is we go into the preference communication tools. First one was frequent. The second one was preference, and it's so obvious, right? WhatsApp message outliers in preference, and is basically a cut of proof to saying that there is a cultural shift into informal communication. Yeah. All right. And a reason for preferring informal communication tools, we have coded into easier to use, more accessible, faster response time, more familiar, more personal. Don't prefer informal platform. All right, and basically, easier to use would be the biggest reason or the highest reason for them to use informal communication tools. All right, now that brings into the next slides when we were asking about the efficiency, clarity, and professionalism. And you can see, yeah, in terms of efficiency, it's skewed towards agree and strongly agree. In terms of clarity, it's skewed also towards strongly agree and agree. But in terms of professionalism, it goes a little bit into disagree and strongly disagree, or neutral in terms of professionalism when we talk about informal communication. All right. Now, that brings into the discussion of our research today. So the findings suggest that immediacy, accessibility, and convenience are the key factors influencing communication preference. So basically, I would say the word convenient is always become the primary factors, right, that shape students' preference in using informal tools or platform. And of course, the students or the respondents tend to favor communication channel that is informal to allow them to receive and respond to the message quickly. And WhatsApp popularity likely stem from its real-time interaction features, is from sharing materials and group discussion capability. All right, popularity of WhatsApp has actually underscored a broader shift, right, in towards our communication, informal communication, because what students need today is more in real-time interaction features. All right, online communication and collaboration tools associates with structured class activities rather than daily communication. It says here that students still prefer online communication and collaborative tools, all right, basically to communicate, especially when it comes to class activities, yeah, especially when you have a structured form of communication. All right. Results also show a strong affirmation that informal communication tools are efficient. All right. So when we ask about the efficiency of the informal tools, yeah, most people agree, right? They says that these communication tools or informal communication tool is very efficient in terms of finding quick exchange and urgent clarification. All right. This has support the idea of how technology itself, yeah, has enhanced teaching and learning responsive today. All right. And they support the idea that technology has enhanced teaching and learning responsive, and perceptions of clarity were mixed while speed value message can be misinterpreted due to the lack of formal structure, tone, or proper documentation. All right. Yes, perceptions of clarity is a little bit mixed because sometimes students feel that short reply, right? Sometimes they feel that message can be misinterpreted, all right? And sometimes they feel that non-formal communication could lead into confusion. All right. And last, in terms of professionalism, many students and students still associate professionals with formal tools like email or learning management system. All right. So students still associates professional communication with learning management system with formal communication method. All right. So that brings me into the conclusion. All right, the research highlight that informal communication tools have become an integral part of modern education, offering unparalleled convenience and speed, right? Even though, as I say, as a lecturer who started 15 years ago, I always feel formal education or formal communication is the best for me and my students, but sometimes we need to indulge ourselves with the new technology and the new needs of what our student needs. However, the data also show trade-off. While efficiency increase, clarity and professionalism decline. So it's actually informal communications apply for efficiency, but they have a little bit of not consistent in terms of clarity, and they still feel that in terms of professionalism, it goes with formal communication, right? And this means that transformation method in tertiary education is not about replacing formal tools, but integrating both formal and informal platform strategically. All right. And in essence, informal platform work best for quick updates, reminder, and informal discussion. Formal channels like email or LMS announcement remain essential for official communication, assessment details, and professional correspondence. All right, my recommendation, all right, for this small research is number one, I think we need to, or universities need to develop a clear communication guidelines in terms of communication with students. We need to have policy. We need to define what type of communication that we can use, right? Formal communication like LMS and email should still maintain for grade, for assessment, for formal announcement. Messaging application like WhatsApp, Telegram, all right, can be used as a reminder or as for coordination. All right. And number two, we need to promote digital etiquette training. This is where when we do research, we realize that the issues that they came in is like privacy, like tone, like message clarity. So we need to have how at first how we look at AI, all right, as something that should not be included in education. But today we are trying to look into how we can use AI ethically. It's the same as this informal education. We need to look into how we can create a digital professionalism in communication by using informal formal platform. Yeah. So tone, timing, privacy, message clarity need to be trained to the students. All right. And emergence of the use of integrated platform. We need to combine formal and informal. We need to blend formal and informal into our communication method as for today, as for 2025, because we believe we still need both formal and informal communication. And maintain boundaries and documentations, encourage balance. Um, Basically, informal communication has one disadvantage whereby we don't have a documentation. Yeah. So at certain point, yeah, academician needs to have a written report and should not rely 100% on informal communication. All right. That brings into my last slide. The strength of academia lies in its ability to evolve from a formal distance to a meaningful connection. All right. So I believe the real power and progress in academic institution lies in the ability to for academic to evolve, for an academician to adopt, right? Even though formal communication has long been a hallmark in our professional, in academic, but we need to adopt the evolving needs, and we need to integrate new and more interaction efficient tools in education. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Maizurah. Is there any question? I would like to do a quick poll since we have students and educators in this meeting right now. So, for the educators who are present here right now, okay, there is a question. We will take the question after we take the poll, please. So, for all the educators who are present at this session right now, could you please just write on the chat box which communication tool you prefer to stay connected with your students most? Do you prefer WhatsApp, like informal communication tools, or formal communication tools? Let's see how many educators we have. Okay. Yeah, same with me. I usually don't want to give my WhatsApp number unless either they're postgrad students or I work with them. I don't like to communicate through WhatsApp, but in Malaysia, I have seen that WhatsApp is more common to use than in Bangladesh. It's mostly for any official purpose. Um, and I also, at the first year when I joined teaching, the first comment that I got from a fellow colleague that if I don't add my students to my social media, I will not be as popular among them. I still don't do that. I only add students those I work with, but I don't like to get that much connected with my students. For students who are present there, any from postgrad, undergrad, all the students who are connected here today, could you please write down which one you prefer? WhatsApp and email. WhatsApp count as mandatory. It's more reachable and easy to use. WhatsApp plus WeChat. Okay, we don't use WeChat much. Preferred by students. Yes. Yeah. I same. I know WhatsApp is mandatory right now, but I still don't like to give out my WhatsApp number to students. Okay, now we're going to take the question from Miss Mala. Okay, Anika said there Discord should be another option for communication. Yeah. We'll look into that. I tried Discord because of Anika. She's one of my students, and I still find it extremely difficult to handle, but it's very efficient. I must admit that it's very efficient. So we'll just take that question from Miss Malar. How is a WhatsApp channel especially? Um, how is wins? That's it. How does this research look into what are expectations from of response time when teachers lecturers are in class marking papers prepping for events, etc.? Do students understand that? This is a very good question. I would like to know about your experience of being 15 years in education.
Sorry, Sanjana, what was the question again?
Their question is how can understand how is wins. She was mentioning that how why WhatsApp wins in terms of communication That said, how does this research look into what are expectations of response time? What students expect from educators? And also, the reason for asking is that when teachers or lecturers are in class or marking papers or prepping for event that we do a lot, do students or parents understand that?
All right. Okay. The research basically started only, as I said, is an initial research with a preference and which one do you prefer on the side of students. We yet to go into the lecturer side, but what we see, right, from what do we the research, the literature review that we've done is the trend is even educators are starting to use the informal platform. So you were asking about the response time. From my experience, uh, we lecturers will have different response time. I don't reply anything after my office hour. All right. I put, it's not that I don't check my WhatsApp, but it's just that I need to teach them so that they don't go out and do that, you know, when they are in industry. And I also, let's say things that I already taught in class, all right, and suddenly they come in and ask me question because I don't give my number to everyone as usual, but sometimes students get my number and pass around, you see. So um, I will, and you know, currently we have every groups for every single thing. So sometimes your handphone number would be in the group that student will be able to use the number. So I put a stat there. If that question that I don't want to answer, I would not answer. Means that the student need to come and see me in class to answer, or I would just say, let's say, for example, they will come and tell me that you cannot attend class due to MC or not well, I will just say email, right? Because I need an email for an official document and with a official documentation, all right, for them not to attend class, right? So that is how it works. And of course, I think among my colleague, they have a trend whereby they have two numbers, right? One is their personal number and another one is for students. And I mean, for non-personal involving job. So what they do after 4:30, that handphone will not be used anymore. All right. And you know, like you try once, you try twice, and you know 4:30, this lecturer would not answer. It will become a trend. All right, it will become a precedent and they will follow. They know that, okay, Miss Maizurah, after 4:30, she won't reply. So there's no point of asking her. So I think that's the only way. Using this informal is something new, all right? As I say, and we don't have that guidelines anymore. Is it can or is it could not? You know, when it was started earlier, we don't give our WhatsApp number to student at all, right? Because we put a boundary um in our relationship with students, you see, because WhatsApp is personal. But at this moment, I don't know how a personal WhatsApp can be. All right, I will be in a group of my school, my kids' school, right? In a group of the transporter, I will be in a group of there's so many groups that I can't avoid not to in the group because of the information that they inform in case there's no transport or anything information in school. But I realized one thing, my numbers is going everywhere. All right, my numbers are growing everywhere because they put me into groups. Anything you want to do, they will put in into groups, in offices, in work, in everything. So, all right, we could not avoid that, but we could put a precedent on where you can contact us and when you could not contact us. I think that will be my personal opinion.